Vikings cuts are in. The 53-man roster is finalized, and there are some surprises.
Yes, the Chargers let go of a fan favorite, maybe a former fan favorite, and we kept a few as well. With just over a week until the regular season begins, here we are, and welcome to another episode of the BuiBros Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, and I cheer for the LA Chargers. And across from me, my brother Brandon.
And I cheer for your Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, today's episode, we're going to be going through those cuts, talking about all things Vikings, all things Chargers, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you are with us, please, if you like what you listen to, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification bell. It really does help us out. Lets us know that you love talking NFL just as much as we do. So, Brandon, Vikings, here we go. Preseason in the books. Now you cut down to 53.
Yeah.
What's the reaction?
Well, they changed it all, right? So there's just one cut now. You don't have to cut like a couple guys after the first week, a couple guys after the second week, and then.
Right.
So, I guess nobody really had any clue. It's kind of cool to get it all in one shot. I know that they cut some guys yesterday, but then they finalized the cuts today. And okay, let's look. So notable names is excuse me. We talked about it last week, I believe, maybe the week before. Lewis Seen, first round pick 2 years ago. Unfortunate. I was reading that they were trying to trade him just before, for a 7th round pick, whatever it may be.
Right.
There was a couple of those today that happened with other teams, so maybe somebody liked him. What's that?
You cut him?
Yeah, they cut him.
Whoa, big notable name. Wow.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay. A first round draft pick. That's pretty big. It's a little unfortunate, like I said, but we got so many safeties now that it's kind of, we don't need him. He wouldn't really see the field, so no need to keep him. Yeah. Another notable name. Now this one actually surprised me because the Scene one, there was lots of talks about it, whatever, is Kene Nwangwu. He was our kick returner.
Your returner.
Yeah, right. A very speedy running back. Yep.
What happened there?
I don't know, man. I thought he was gonna he had a 48-yard rushing touchdown, I think, in the first game. First preseason game. And with the new dynamic kickoff, a lot more returns going on. You'd think that he would be somebody who would make the team as the kick returner. So I don't know who the returner will be. I haven't looked that deep into it because I was quite surprised by this. It's unfortunate. I actually really liked him. He seemed like a really nice guy, and I think this is probably his 3rd year in the league too. And yeah, it's just it's unfortunate, right? Like everybody has a chance of getting cut, and this guy is just one of those guys. So after this cut, and after the cuts today, we actually have 2 running backs on the 53. Yeah, we've got Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler.
Right.
Which I think you'd need more than that. But there's also some weird stuff that'll go on in the next few days as they drop some guys and put some guys. You know what I mean? Like there'll be some shenanigans going on. So, it is what it is. But those are the 2 big names that I think, that I think are big. But we also had, I think, 5th round draft pick from last year, Jacqueline Roy. He was a defensive lineman, and he actually was. He had some flashes last year, but he's obviously not up to the task this year. So that's a little,
Well, like you said, it's a big regime year, right? You gotta make big moves. You gotta make sure that you're putting the best 53 guys on the roster to get you to compete.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter. JJ McCarthy is down, but next man up mentality. They have belief in Sam Darnold in that system, and obviously they have a belief in other guys than Lewis Seen and Kene. I can't pronounce his last name.
Nwangwu, I think is how it's actually pronounced. Yeah.
Yes. So That's interesting, and I wonder if at all the new kickoff rules played a role in it, and now the type of returner needed varies just that much.
Yeah.
Interesting. But he had some successful returns there. He had some big plays as well. He's a speedy guy. As when he had the opportunities on offense, he's going to land somewhere. I believe he's going to land somewhere. Same with Lewis Seen. As a former first round pick, he can sign that minimum, and he's going to go get an opportunity somewhere else. Whether or not that works out is another story.
Especially a guy like Lewis Seen, people had their eyes on him in the draft. People still, other teams will still be like, "Ooh, I kind of wanted that guy back then, and now we can pick him up for cheap." And so I'm sure he'll find a team. And then, like you said, kick returner could be a very special position this year, and so someone could pick up Kane, which would be good for him. But yeah, that was really the surprise, the Kane one. But we'll see how it plays out. Like you said, big regime year. We talked about it before. The the head coach and GM are not in negotiations currently for extensions.
Right.
So they're playing on their last year of their deal. Oh, okay. We'll see how it goes. Excuse me. Another two notable names that were not cut, but who actually made the team. Just like last year, Ivan Pace Jr., undrafted free agent. We have two undrafted free agents this year that made the 53, which is pretty sweet. So we talked about this guy last week, I believe. Taki Taimani. He is a defensive lineman, and he's ranked, I think it's all defensive players. He was ranked in the preseason number 1 defensive player by PFF by like 10 points. He was like 89, and the next one was like 79. Something crazy like that. So
you get back-to-back diamonds in the rough.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
That one's cool. And then I think Dwight. So the other guy, the other undrafted free agent, Dwight McLaughlin, he was also in like the top 10 of that ranking. So these undrafted rookies crushing it, and we're really looking forward to see what they can do on the defense. So it's they might not be the best.
The Vikings scouting team.
Yeah, well, scouting the undrafted guys, but scouting the drafted guys have to be a little better. But it's cool. It's cool to that they have found that little this little pocket of guys that seem to have worked out. So but yeah, the Taki Taimani one I think is super interesting. He's going to be like a super fun player, I think, to watch going through this year, especially these undrafted rookies. It's kind of like a Cinderella story almost, and so it'll be kind of fun to see how that plays out. Another guy you might not know this guy, but Vikings fans will, is Duke Shelley was released. It's not so much that he was cut; it's kind of a weird thing. They just terminated his contract or whatever. He came up huge for us in a Bills game 2 years ago when we beat the Bills off. It was a gnarly game, and he came out. He's a corner and just was locked down on these guys, and the announcers called his name, and the joke between the fan base is everyone went, "Who?" Because nobody had heard of this guy before. He came out because of an injury or something, and he just was locked down for that game, which was sweet. Excuse me. But
Cinderella story no more.
Exactly. Unfortunate. Yeah, because I think he spent last year maybe with the Cowboys, and then he came with us again this year. So hopefully he lands somewhere else, but whatever. Some other things just to note, just for the Vikings, this is roster stuff, but it's not part of the cuts. Is that TJ Hawkinson will remain on the PUP list to start the season. So he's going to be out 4 games, which we kind of knew. And I think this is also a move because I think if he's on PUP, he doesn't count toward the 53. And so they can keep...
I think that's correct.
Yeah, they can keep someone else for the 53 and just sacrifice those first 4 games. They did that as well with Dalton Reisner. They put him on IR. And I think it was something kind of small. Like, it's not that... I'm not really sure. That's kind of what the fans... have been speculating, is that something small just to keep an extra roster spot open, for a
Right,
guy that
maybe he
might.
was going to be out for at least a couple weeks, and just to
Yeah,
give him that extra time.
exactly. And then it gives you a little bit of extra wiggle room with an extra roster spot.
You
So
got to be You got to be confident and comfortable with your offensive line if you're going to let one of the key guys go, and no
yeah,
matter how
he's
key he is
he's a
in
starter
that play.
for us too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it is what it is. But yeah, so these are all the cuts. Everything there. Yeah, Reisner on IR. That's what I wrote down. Um, I was also thinking the other day. This is a total personal note. I was in the car. I was talking to my wife, talking to Carly about how sad I'm gonna be, and that's why I'm wearing my boy Kirk Cousin today. I'm just gonna be sad to watch him light it up on another team this year. It just came to my mind the other day, thinking, "Damn, I like that guy, and every time he lights it up, I'm gonna be like, God damn it, like I wish he was lighting it up for us." I know that there's a lot that goes into that, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna pour water on that at all, because he is playing in that NFC South, and so he gets a couple key matchups there,
Yeah,
um,
but
where he is gonna have the opportunity to light it up. He has all the playmakers out there, and they're just signing and trading for beasts on defense too.
yeah,
Like, the
yeah,
Falcons are making a run at the NFC South title. Um, if not, well, of course, everybody's vying for that NFC title. But they're going to be an interesting team to watch.
yeah.
Kirk Cousins has been just like a solid foundational piece for you guys for so long, and I know it's got to hurt. And we're going to see him in another uniform
Yeah.
this year. Um, just like the Chargers fan going through seeing Philip Rivers switch over to a different, deeper type of blue with the Colts
Yeah.
there. It's
I,
going to be strange.
I was thinking that it would be kind of similar to this year, you guys with Keenan Allen as well, right? Like Keenan Allen was more of a staple on the team than Kirk was, but it's still like just weird. You know what I mean? Like you still like the guy and you're gonna cheer for the guy, but also it's like it's just weird.
Yeah, also reading about Mike Williams' progression in with the Jets this offseason, and on schedule, a little bit ahead of schedule. So
Good for him.
another player who's made such an impact for us in the last few years in another jersey.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's weird. Hasn't hit me yet. Hasn't hit me yet. So
Once
I'm
you
sure
see him
as
make
soon
a
as I
big
see it.
play.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And
Uh,
um, hopefully that big play isn't going to come back and haunt us on the
yes.
other end.
Hopefully. Okay, that's it. Like I'm just looking at like the projected first team and second team. It's just kind of like our depth chart. It's our 53-man roster written out as a depth chart. Um, there's not really many surprises. Like not at all. Except
No,
no, we talked about that Levi Drake Rodriguez. We're going to call him LDR, sixth round pick. That I talked about last week, just having a fun time on the field. So that's kind of cool that he made the roster as well, like a sixth round pick from this year. That's tough to make the 53, and so good for him for doing that. Our rookie kicker as well. Super excited for that guy. I think
yeah,
he maybe went 8 for 8 or something in
during the
the
preseason.
preseason with a 58 yarder, I believe, to end it. I don't think he's got the biggest leg, but seems pretty consistent so far. I don't think the preseason and
Consistent,
regular.
accurate.
I think it's gonna be good, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think that might be it. Like I'm looking at our team, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
It's
not
pretty
too
nice.
many surprises is sometimes a good thing.
Yeah,
That fans can paint a clear picture, and then when it comes to fruition, it's nice to see. But you guys got the Giants on tap there this or next Sunday coming up. Like I said, just over a week away. That is
crazy.
absolutely wild. And I think that's a great game. Great game for Vikings fans to get behind their team, because the Giants have a lot of question marks over there. We'll get into that a little bit more next week
Yeah.
when we start to do game previews. There's going to be so much coming at us. I can't wait with the season around the corner. Um, but if you're still with us, thank you so much. Please, if you like what you're listening to, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that notification bell. Really does help us out. And switching gears though, to the Chargers. Chargers. A lot going on. I'm so excited. First, we'll touch quickly just on preseason week 3. Cowboys and Chargers. What a wild game. It was absolutely bonkers. Defense continues to show signs of improvement and absolutely balled out with several notable names. Final score for that game was 26-19. And, we'll start with quarterback position. Easton Stick, hasn't done anything to write home about all preseason, and that continued this game. His stats, 12 for 29, 187 and a touchdown with an interception. Doesn't really tell the whole picture. That touchdown was a beautiful long ball to Simi Fehoko, former Cowboys player, who just, it was like he's in a circus. He caught it and was able to tightrope and just take off. Long touchdown, beautiful. He played his way on to the 53, and we'll get to that in a moment. But Easton Stick, he made the 53 because we don't have anybody else. So right now he is the backup to Justin Herbert going into the season. 53 changes real quick. And a lot of people believe, myself included, that the Chargers are going to be shopping for a potential backup to Herbert, somebody that just in case, God forbid, anything does happen to him, we have somebody that can actually move the ball, protect the ball, and just work the offense that we have. Another player to shut out. First offensive play, we have second-year wide receiver out of TC. We talked about him last week. Darius Davis, also our returner, extremely fast. He was one of the fastest wide receivers last year in the draft. He took an end around from Easton Stick, 70 yards, first offensive play. And again, it's like we've got guys just training with the circus, just gets around the edge and tightrope walks just right down the side and then just takes off, pulls back into the to midfield a little bit more. So exciting. 2 big plays. The offense seemed to come to life a bit. Of course, we can't always rely on those big plays, but it was good to see out there. On defense. Well, that former 3rd round pick in the 2021 draft, Trey Lance, now on the Cowboys. He had 5 interceptions. He threw 5 interceptions. Our Chargers defense absolutely crushed it there. I believe a couple more fumbles. So the turnover battle was definitely won by the Chargers. And it's just so nice to see that unit really starting to come together, and the players are really starting to believe. And even though it's preseason, we're going against Trey Lance. This is not some slouch. Yes, he's had. Yeah, you can make the argument. I'm not saying he's a superstar by any means, but he's playing behind Dak. He got his shot with Shanahan in San Francisco. It didn't work out there. But he was 3rd overall pick for a reason. We can go back to Josh Rosen as a top 10 quarterback in my mind, where it just really didn't work out. There are tons of top 10 quarterbacks that don't work out, but for them to fall off a cliff that quickly. Anyway, Trey Lance, I think going against him, reputable performance. It's pretty good, and the guy who really did play himself onto a spot is coming out of retirement in one of our safeties with Tony Jefferson. It was absolutely insane. He had 14 tackles, 2 interceptions, a sack, and a forced fumble, all in that game. It was unbelievable. He was everywhere. Number 37 just absolutely everywhere. Played himself onto the roster. exciting. Used to play for the Ravens, like I said, so he knows the Harbaugh system, and it looks like he's fitting in nice in Jesse Minter's defense. So, great way to end the preseason and get the momentum building, warm up going into the regular season. Pretty awesome stuff.
Pretty
But getting
awesome, man.
into, yeah, getting into the 53-man roster. Uh Shocking. The first one, no more 6'8". 6'8". Oh my goodness. I
No.
would always yell that when Donald Parham Jr., tight end for the LA Chargers, would catch a touchdown. And that seemed to happen quite often when he was healthy. And yes, he was a receiving threat, but in this system, they do rely on their tight ends tremendously for their blocking ability, and it was reported that he struggled in that front quite a bit. So that was a big decision in releasing a player to make room for 53. Donald Parham Jr. goes. Continue on, Elijah Dotson, who was the undrafted rookie preseason and early season hero there last year. He had some explosive plays, thought he could play himself onto a roster. Just the running back room. You guys have two. We have, it seems, just too many. Another running back that we cut was Isaiah Spiller, which was another, I believe, 4th-round draft pick in the Brandon Staley era. He was one of the bigger name running backs out of that draft class, and people were surprised that he fell that low. But we've seen as Chargers fans why that is, and but it's all as she goes, right? Besides that, former first round pick for the Raiders, Alex Leatherwood, we released him as well, let him go. So
Yeah, that guy hasn't worked out, eh?
that guy hasn't worked out. If the Raiders cut him, yeah, he had a big profile coming out of college. It just didn't translate, and we had a quick look and said, no, thank you, no, thank you. But on the 53-man roster, we've talked about Easton Stick. Another piece that is notable is that they kept 7 wide receivers. Wide receivers have been a point of contention here in the offseason for the Chargers, with the aforementioned Keenan Allen and Mike Williams departing to other teams. So what do we do? Well, a lot of the wide receivers played extremely well, practiced extremely hard in the offseason, and they were granted that extra spot where people thought 6 was going to be enough. But Simi Fehoko, Brendan Rice, made the team there. It was a potential, which, if any, type situation, and they both made cases that they needed to be on this roster. You look at Brendan Rice's stats compared to Simi Fehoko, it tells a different story. Fehoko, 7 catches, 9 targets for 170 yards. That's pretty good. Like, that per catch average is insane. Obviously blown up by that huge play this last game. Brendan Rice, on the other hand, not really showing it in the stat sheet when it came to the preseason game. But he had a strong camp, and I guess they're kind of pointing the finger at the poor quarterback play. If maybe like one of the best quarterbacks on the entire planet was throwing him the ball, yeah, maybe he would have been no, different guy, not this jersey, but maybe a different story.
Right, maybe.
And we will now see. They're going to be rotating those wide receivers, keeping them fresh, because we all know what's going to happen. Going to be much more of a balanced approach. I'm pretty excited for it. I am absolutely excited for it.
Well, the 53 just signifies that the season is here.
The season is here.
Teams are finalized. Obviously there's more moving to go around, but like, this is really big, and then especially after waivers and people get signed, whatever, the next few days. But this is it. We're here. We made it. We finally made it through the off season. We get to watch. We also get to cover the regular season for the first time, which will be super fun.
Yes.
I'm just excited for more football. I'm excited to see the Vikings win. I'm excited for a lot of things. So
1-0 in week 1 for both you and I. I really hope so.
Raiders and Giants.
Raiders, Giants, pretty winnable games,
Very.
especially when you start to think the Chargers injury bug maybe came at a good time. Obviously, never good to get injured, but people are healing up.
Yeah.
Herbert is back. I believe it was Chase Daniels saying that. Oh, he was talking to Herbert, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, my right foot, everything's all good. It's like it's 100%. It's healed up 100%." And great news. He's on track to be there out week 1. There's no way he's not going to be there. Joey Bosa came back to practice last week. Big name went out with a hand wrist injury. He's working through something against the Rams. And then now Derwin James Jr. coming back to practice. He's back out there today, obviously not in full capacity, but he's a guy that oh my goodness, that a defense rallies around. This guy makes me want new Oakley sunglasses every time I see him out there in that California sun. He rocks them like no other. He rocks the other teams like Travis Kelce like no other. It is energizing, and it just pumps the team up, pumps the fan base up, and going into week 1, we need that strong performance, and he's only going to just bolster that, and that more likely, or more likelihood.
Week 1 for both of us is kind of like there's a lot on the line. It feels like
tone setting. Oh my goodness! Like you said, we're gonna get into this and have a little preview because there are a lot of things that we can say. Week 1, so many storylines, but it sets, like you said, it sets the tone for the season, and I can't wait. Oh my goodness! Like it's Christmas. It's Christmas. You know, the next time Christmas happens is this weekend, probably Friday, Sunday, and Monday. That's because we have 3 fantasy football drafts. And then it's going to be Thursday. And then it's going to be Sunday, really, because we play on Sunday. And yeah, first game of the season is always great, but it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully losing again.
To the Lions last year. Who did they play this year?
Ravens.
Ooh, what a first game.
Lamar, Patrick Mahomes. See, big storylines. Week 1, the NFL knows how to do it. It's almost there. But before we get into that, we got to wait a few more days.
Yeah, we do.
Days, right. We got to make sure we understand what's going on because the 53, like you said, it's not going to be the 53 all year. It's definitely, it might not be the 53 in the next week. Every other team just cut a ton of people. Every other team cut notable names. There were some surprises on every team. Now, the GM's got to go shopping, and Joe Ortiz is going to go shopping. Who knows what he's going to find, if anything. But that 53-man can change. And let's see what happens in the next week. But I'm excited. And thank you so much for being with us today. If you do enjoy what you're listening to, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like the video, hit the notification bell. It really does help Brandon and I out. Lets us know you like talking football, Chargers, Vikings, each and every day, each and every week, just like we do. Yes. Brandon, send us off.
Okay. Skol Bolts.
Oh, Skol Bolts.
Yeah, everybody. Have a good week. Peace.